Alright, so today we're going to be tying on knock points onto this recurve bowstring. So what we're going to use today is BCY 62XS serving. I like to use the .018 length. It's pretty smooth when you tie the knock points on, which is really important since your fingers are going to be trying to slide past it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut two lengths of serving, approximately 18 to 24 inches a piece. That's what we're going to use for each of the knock points. So I'll just lay one of them off to the side, and I'll drape one across the bow. So prior to doing this video, we measured where the knock point needs to be. And the way that I measure it is I will use my T-square, bumping the very front, the very top of the plunger. So that way I have a very consistent location. If I try to go to the center of the pressure button, it's going to be difficult to get it the same every time. So I'm going to measure on my T-square how far up I need to go. So I was 2.5 lines up from dead even on my T-square. Different T-squares have different measurements, so it's good to always use the same T-square when you're making your knock points. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I slide it through, and I'm going to go up 2.5 lines. So I'm just going to make a double knot to start with. I'm going to slowly get it onto the spot that I need. And I'm going to pull it really tight. I'm going to pull the T-square out of the way. So now I'm just going to make 4 more overhand knots, one on each side. So I go on the bottom side, I go on the top side, and I'm slowly working my way up the string. More on the bottom, and the final one on the top. Alright, so now for a right-handed archer, their fingers are going to be rolling off the string this direction. So you need to make sure that you serve that direction, because otherwise you're putting tension on the knock point, which can actually untie it. So you take the one that's on the right-hand side and you drape that into the string. You're actually going to go over that. So I'm going to serve over it 2 loops. So 1, 2, and I hold it in place with my thumb. I'm going to take that strand, I'm going to feed it over the top. I'm going to make 2 more loops. 1, 2. So now I'm going to do what's called back serving. So I take this tail and I put it up and over my thumb, and I'm going to back serve through this loop 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I take that little tail and I just lay it right on the side of the other tail. So now I back serve over it 5 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I just have a little loop here and a little tail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these pliers and grab a hold of the short tail. Just grab it and pull it all the way through. And you want to go slow because it'll try to knot up on you. So if you just yank it through there and it gets into a knot, you have to cut it off and start all over. So I'm going to pull it really snug. So now take a razor, and you want to be really careful, because if you miss, you get to redo your whole string. And as you can tell, the bow is strung. You don't really want to hit your string with a razor. So cut it with about 1 millimeter or so extra on there. Discard the extra pieces. So now you're going to take your lighter, and you're going to, I like to just kind of tap them to get them frayed out so they melt real easy. So I take my lighter on your side, put it on there for about 5 seconds, and then I just kind of mush it in there, and voila! The top knock point has been tied. So I take my T-square and I will just kind of gently compact it, making sure that it's nice and tight. I take this stuff, and it's liquid glue. It's called Liquid Lock. Works really good because it soaks in really well. So you put just a couple little drops on there and smear it in with your fingers. And that'll soak in and it'll help lock everything together. So now your bottom knock point is tied very similar. And you either need an arrow knock or one of the arrows that you're going to be using is even better. And you snap it onto the string so that way you can get a really tight fit, because different knocks have different thicknesses. So you want to make sure that you tie your knock points with the correct knock on the string. So I'm going to do the same exact thing, but I'm going to go down the string. So I do a double knot. And I'm going to push this with both of my thumbnails up really tight to the arrow knock. Pull it nice and tight. Take the arrow off. See, unlike brass knock points, that you want to have a tiny little gap, because if they pinch the arrow, they can actually break the knock and you can dry fire your bow. These you can have touching the knock, which is why these are so much more accurate, because that arrow can't move anywhere. So I'm doing the same thing. One double knot, and then 4 more regular knots. Okay, so same thing. You're going to take the tail that's on the right hand side and just lay it along your string. So now you're going to serve over it 2 full revolutions. 1, 2. Just hold it in place with your thumb. Put the string over the top of the knock point. And now I'm going to do 2 more loops. 1. Make sure it's trying to slip on me. 1, 2. Okay, so now same thing. I'm going to put it over my thumb, continue, but loop underneath itself. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I just take the tail and I lay it down right next to the other tail. 5 more loops. It's called back serving. 3, 4. And I'm keeping a lot of tension on this. Got to be careful. If you go into your joints, it can actually cut right into you. So try to move it around on the pad of your finger as you're working. Okay, so I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to grab the real short end. Okay, take my razor, get about 1 millimeter or so extra. Okay, so I'm just going to fray those up a little bit. About 5 seconds should do it. And again, I'm still going to mash this down because I'm going to try to glue it in place. So I want to have it right where I need it. And put the liquid lock on there. Now I'll put a little bit more on the serving just because you want to make sure the serving's not going to slip at all. And that's it. That's how you tie on a set of knock points. You'll get quicker over time at first. You might have to retime several times. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I like these. I mean, they're not too bad. They're a little bit larger than what a lot of people tie. They're about 5/16 of an inch long. But I've never had mine come untied at a tournament. And I've seen other people struggle with the smaller versions. So I've never had trouble with this getting past my shooting tab or my gloves. So that's the way I do it.